Greetings and welcome. This is the ThaBadbrey Herbalist Asar of ThaBadbreyHerbal.co.uk. And today I'm going to be speaking to you about a metaphysical subject matter. Alright? So today I am the ThaBadbrey metaphysician. So, what am I talking about? I'm going to be focusing upon time, or should I say the illusion of time. Alright, so time itself, yeah. Now, what I'm about to reveal to you is based upon no documented evidence whatsoever, and is entirely based upon my own spiritual awareness and understanding of the subject of the illusion of time. All right, this information, for as far back as I can remember, I have always known. It's like I was born with this information in my head, already knowing in regards to the illusion of time. All right, and then in 2011 I gained conscious control over my astral projections and was privileged to be able to have the experience of witnessing the world, or this reality, through the eyes of other species other than human beings. All right, now let's get into this. Time itself. Now, the passage of time is what I am actually alluding to, yeah? The rate at which time passes depends upon the consensual agreement and understanding, the collective consensual agreement and understanding of a particular species. For example, we are human beings, yeah? And as human beings, we all experience time at a certain rate, all right? Within certain, boundaries, certain parameters, but we all experience time in general at an average rate that we have agreed upon, all right? And different species experience the passage of time based upon the rate at which they all have agreed for it to pass. So, as human beings, we all generate a temporal time field that allows us to experience time at a rate relative to each other, all right? And each species does this, all right? So, yeah, before I actually break it down further, let me explain about my understanding of how each time field is generated and how it relates to the reality that we experience, yeah? So, now, as human beings, we have hearts, all right? And based upon my understanding of electronics, I view the heart as an oscillator or frequency generator of some kind, all right? And as the heart pumps, boom, 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 it generates a frequency, kind of like a sine wave frequency, boom, 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 boom. And as it does this, it has a direct effect and correlation upon how quickly or slowly the passage of time is experienced by the being who has the heart pumping within their chest cavity, all right? So if I'm a human being and my heart is pumping at a certain rate, each time the heart pumps, it refreshes the reality I can actually see, yeah? The heart rate is the refresh rate of reality itself. Now, again, this is based upon no documented scientific evidence whatsoever, and completely entirely based upon my own spiritual awareness, yeah, of this phenomenon, yeah. The heart pumps, and the rate at which it pumps determines how quickly reality refreshes itself, and directly correlates with the temporal time field that we create as a species collectively, and affects the rate at which we experience the passage of time. All right. So, human beings, for example, the heart rate of a child is much higher, was higher than that of an adult. And because a child has a higher heart rate, yeah, the child experiences time passing much more slowly, yeah. So the child and the adult share a collective consensual understanding of how fast time passes, yeah. However, within that temporal time field, you have varying rates, varying heart rates. A child has a faster heart rate, an adult has a lower heart rate, all right, or slower heart rate. So when a child has a higher heart rate, the child is running around fast, all right? The child runs around, playing, and the child experiences time passing much more slowly, which is why children, in comparison to adults, seem to move much more faster, much more quickly, and seem to have a lot of energy and quick reflexes, and are routinely seen outrunning adults. And adults have a lower heart rate, so they experience time passing much more quickly, which is the reason why they seem to move slower than children, all right? Now again, yeah, in this so-called modern world, as you get older, your heart rate decreases as a result of, well, the reason is because a lot of individuals within this modern world, in this so-called modern society, do not have an adequate diet high in fruits and vegetables, minerals and nutrients and all of that good stuff. So as a result of it, their circulatory systems seem to degrade as they get older and their hearts become afflicted, and that's the reason why they are unable to keep up with children, because they're basically not nourishing their bodies in the way they're supposed to. If you have an adequate diet high in fresh fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, you will be able to keep up with children, all right? Play with them, run around, adventure playground, everything. But anyway, I'm digressing, yeah? This is about the passage of time. So, yeah? Again, another example. You wake up in the morning, yeah? And your heart rate is relatively low because you're at rest. All right, and then your heart rate increases, yeah, as you get up, yeah, and the passage of time seems to change throughout the day for you, all right, because your heart rate's changing. Now, another thing is most people have experienced this at some time or another within their lives, yeah, that everyone's experienced this, most people. You fall asleep after a long day's work, and as you're falling asleep and your eyelids are sloping, yeah, your physical body starts to slouch downwards and tries to go to the ground level. Why is this happening? It's because your physical body is made up of minerals, and minerals on this planet are most abundant in the earth. So what happens is, because your physical body is at a lower vibration than your energetic, subtler bodies, which is your astral body, your mental body, your spiritual body, as well as the monad, which is the you perspective, the now perspective of what you can actually see. If your monad is looking through in the physical plane, it looks through the eyes of the physical body. And if the physical body is tired, then the physical body becomes unconscious and your monad floats upwards into the astral body and sees through those eyes. Then it floats up into the mental body and sees through those eyes, and that's where you actually dream. All right? So when you're tired and your physical body needs to be needs to recharge itself, it slopes down because it's trying to go back to the mineral kingdom, yeah? And your energetic bodies are rising up. Now, back to the point of what I was saying, stay with me. Everyone's experienced this, where you fall asleep and it seems like you've been asleep for 5 minutes. But then when you wake up, 5 hours has passed. Why has this happened? The reason why this has happened is as follows. Based upon my own spiritual awareness and no documented evidence whatsoever. This is based entirely upon my own shamanistic experience of the astral, mental, and spiritual, right? When you're falling asleep, your heart rate is decreasing, and as a result of your heart rate decreasing, you are starting to experience time at a much quicker rate. So, your heart rate decreases, your physical body tries to retire back to the mineral kingdom from whence it came. And then your monad rises up into the astral body and then into the mental body, and then you start to dream. You dream for 5 minutes, but because the heart rate of your physical body is actually lower, and your physical body is still in the physical plane within the temporal time field, shared as a consensual understanding and reality of the passage of time with other human beings, because of that, you've kind of stepped out of that time field while still being in it. You stepped out of it astrally and mentally, but your physical body is still within it, and all of those bodies, physical, astral, mental, are still connected. So time is still passing at the rate that it would pass if you were awake in the physical plane in that temporal time field. However, in the mental realm, it seems relative. It tries to match it up and make it relative. So it seems like only 5 minutes you were asleep, and then you wake up and 5 hours has passed. All right? And that's why that happens. All right? Now, the illusion of time and the time field, all right? So, you have a high echelon of heart rate for human beings and a low echelon, all right? And that higher and lower echelon sets the parameters for the temporal time field that's generated by the minds of all of those human beings who are part of the same species, and has a direct correlation with how fast or slow time seems to be passing, all right? Got that? Now, different animals, and this seems to be dependent upon size, all right? Different animals experience time at different rates and have their own temporal time fields of how fast or slow time will be passing based upon their own heart rate. Now, next time you see a sparrow, a small brown bird called a sparrow, next time you see it, observe how fast it moves. They seem to have very quick reflexes. They flap their wings very, very quickly, and they look around very fast. I mean, when you look at a sparrow, look at its behavior, it's doing this. This is what the sparrow's doing. According to us, the sparrow's doing this. It blinks, it looks around, it hops around at high speed, then it flies off at very, very, very high speed, yeah? But according to the sparrow, it's moving at an average speed. Now, why is this? The reason why is because the sparrow has a much higher heart rate than human beings, all right? And because of this, the rate at which reality is refreshing from the perspective of a sparrow, yeah, is much more quickly, yeah? So they experience time passing much more slowly, yeah? So from their perspective, they're moving at normal speed, but when they look at us, we seem like we're moving in slow motion. So when I wake up in the morning and I get my sunflower seeds and put them on the windowsill, to me, I'm just spreading my sunflower seeds on the windowsill at a normal speed. But according to the sparrow, this is what I'm doing according to the sparrow. These are the sunflower seeds. Enjoy, my feathered friends. In slow motion. That's what they can see. It looks like I'm moving in slow motion according to them as a result of their heart rate. The sparrow's heart rate is a human heart rate is dum 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 dum. All right. So we have different temporal time fields that we experience according to our own species. Yeah. Another example: a mouse. Yeah. A mouse moves very fast, has very quick reflexes, and seems to be moving at a very high speed. Why? Because a mouse has a much higher heart rate and therefore experiences time passing much more slowly. So those of you who have problems with mice in your house, next time you see one of these beautiful, magnificent creatures that may be causing you a nuisance at that time, next time that happens, observe how quick the mouse is moving, how fast it moves. Look at its reflexes. Look how it cleans itself, yeah? You've all seen it. A mouse cleans itself like this. Then it runs off. It scurries off at high speed. According to the mouse, it's moving at a normal speed. It's cleaning itself casually. It looks around and then it runs off. But according to us, it looks like it's moving at an exceptionally high speed. Why? Because the mouse has a higher heart rate and therefore experiences time at a much slower rate. Yeah? So, when you try to demolish a mouse with some type of blunt implement, those of you that are doing that, yeah, it seems like you always miss. Why? Because according to you, this is what you're doing. I'm trying to catch this mouse. Oh, I missed. Oh, I missed. What's going on? But according to the mouse, this is what you're doing. I'm trying to catch the mouse. I missed. That's what the mouse can see. From the perspective of the mouse, the human being is moving in slow motion. And from the perspective of the human being, the mouse is moving in fast motion, all right? Again, it's the same as a domesticated fly, or should I say a housefly, which has domesticated itself. Why? A housefly, a bluebottle, is so often seen in a house that now it has a colloquial name of housefly. So therefore it has domesticated itself. Now look at a fly. It moves at an extremely high speed. It cleans itself. It flies off. And it has the uncanny ability to seemingly move out of the way of a extremely high speed swipe of a human being. Why can it do that? Because its heart rate is very, very high and experiences time moving at a much slower rate relative to human beings. So when you try to swat a fly, high speed, according to the fly, you're doing this. I'm swatting you in slow motion. I'm so slow that there's no way I can hit you. And then the fly moves out the way, innit? Now, about 10 years ago, I actually mentioned this to a few acquaintances about how different species experience time at different rates. And a large majority of people I actually expressed this to, they thought I was crazy and going mad. So I thought to myself, let me just not say anything. And then 2013, I see scientific evidence. Scientists saying they've come to the conclusion that flies experience time at a different rate to human beings, and therefore they experience us moving in slow motion. But 10 years ago, I was crazy. But anyway, I'm digressing. It's the same. Yeah. Flies, mice, hummingbirds, sparrows have higher heart rates. A snail. Now, I'm not sure of the heart rate of a snail. And I think there's differences because a snail seems to be moving very, very slowly according to us. However, from the perspective of the snail, it's moving at a very high, very high speed, yeah, or at an average speed. And I think, based upon my own understanding and my own experience in 2011 of being able to look through the eyes of other species, I think a snail is unable to even see a human being or any other large animal that has a different heart rate, because the snail experiences time at such a high speed, yeah, that we seem like we're moving so fast that we look like a blur, yeah. And I believe that the only time a snail can focus upon a human being is when we come to a stop or when we rest, yeah. The same as a sea mussel. You know when you see sea mussels on the shore? From the perspective of a human being, the sea mussels look like they're not moving. But if you get a stop motion camera and record these sea mussels, then what you see, if you speed it up to about 200 or like 1,000 times speed, you see that sea mussels are moving around, they turn, they compete for space, they look for food, they rest, they stop, they move. But from our perspective, it looks like they're stationary because they're in a different temporal time field to human beings. Yeah? Now, anything that looks like it's stationary, from our perspective, is in a different temporal time field and experiences time at a different rate. A plant, yeah, if you get a stop motion camera and video a plant and then speed up to 1,000 times speed, you'll see that a plant moves around, it competes for space, it moves towards the light, but from our perspective, it seems like it's not even moving. Now, based upon my experience, when I was able to look through the eyes of a plant, yeah, and a plant, yes, a plant has eyes, yeah, in a metaphysical sense, yeah, they actually witness the world chemically, all right, and that's how they're able to view things chemically. But I'm digressing, yeah. Now, a plant, because there's a few exceptions to this time field that is shared between different species, yeah. A plant has the ability to witness the passage of time through the eyes of any other species that it's interacting with. So for example, if I'm sitting here with this plant, it can experience time passing at a rate that is relative to me. And if a domesticated housefly was to land upon this plant, it will be able to change the rate at which it experiences time and experience the passage of time that is relative to the domesticated fly or the bluebottle flying around, all right? I think the reason for this, based upon my experience, is because a plant doesn't have a human heart, or it doesn't have a pumping heart, so to speak. And its heart is based upon its connection to the earth, and it pulsates at the same rate as the earth. And because the earth shares a time field, it has a time field that encapsulates all of the time fields of all the species that live upon it. Because of that, the plant is able to then tap into all of these temporal time fields of all of these species that it comes into contact with, due to the fact that the time field that the plant is experiencing is really the collective time field that the earth gives to it as a result of its roots being all the way down into the earth. All right? So, this was another tell. This was a tell from the astral plane, yeah? From the ThaBadbrey metaphysician, yeah? And I will be back, yeah? With more tells from the astral plane. The ThaBadbrey Herbalist Asar of ThaBadbrey Herbal UK. The ThaBadbrey metaphysician. Stay tuned.